All right, guys. I don't know, man. Now I'm in a Bruce Willis mood. So, and this is going to be a perfect lead in to Quentin Tarantino and going through all of his films. Because even when I started the channel, even though 99% of the films I cover are horror and always will be, there are a few exceptions that I'm willing to make. I did Last of the Mohegans, After Hours, just now Armageddon, Fifth Element, all films that are very nostalgic to me that I just had to talk about. But I knew from the beginning. David Lynch, which I did a video on Eraserhead, which, God, that was so hard to talk about that movie, man. I got to start doing more Lynch soon, and I've been trying to figure out a way to talk about Twin Peaks, like, for ever since the channel started. Like, which way to put it. To go maybe a video per season or by episode. That's a lot of fucking episodes and videos. So I don't know. I got to figure that out. But Quentin Tarantino is another one that I knew instantly starting this that I'd be going through all his films. So Bruce Willis from Fifth Element led to Armageddon with Bruce Willis, leading now into Pulp Fiction from 1994, which so many people put this as Tarantino's best film. And I think it is his best film. It's not my favorite. Inglourious Bastards is my favorite Tarantino film. It just has everything and it works amazingly for me. Christoph Waltz is absolutely breathtaking in that film. And just, he speaks four goddamn languages. And the Italian scene, there's so much, but we'll talk about that with Inglourious Bastards. But when did I see Pulp Fiction for the first time? My early teens, maybe, is when I saw it. And I never saw anything like it. Because just the whole structure of this movie, of how it's all shuffled around, and it doesn't go in chronological order. Like, that's an option. And then we've had Memento, early 2000s, that went in reverse chronological order. Irreversible by Gaspar Noé, who's another one. I'm diving into his films soon, like real soon. Love Gaspar Noé. But this was a film that was like, wow, this is like so original. The way that the story's told. And like the last few movies, just we have an amazing cast here with Bruce Willis, with Samuel Jackson, John Travolta, which this movie revitalized his career. Like, he owes a lot to Quentin Tarantino. Like, a lot. But just everyone in this is fantastic. Ving Rhames, who I just talked about in Piranha 3 Double D. He's fantastic as always. Everybody in this film just gives an absolute amazing performance. Rosanna Arquette, who I adore, and she's in After Hours, which is a favorite film of mine. Everybody just gives their A game here. The quality of it, not saying anything wrong with Reservoir Dogs. I love Reservoir Dogs. But I feel like just the scope of Pulp Fiction was so much bigger and just so much more that Tarantino was able to do. Like, I'm sure he was limited with budget and his first film and everything with Reservoir Dogs. It takes place all in the same location for the most part. This is just on such a grander scope, this film. And it's an absolute cult classic. It's a masterpiece. Let's talk Pulp Fiction. Which is what a great title it is, too. A little bit on Tarantino. And first of all, you Brit friends of mine, Ricky, Gareth, here, this fucking light. You happy? If I can record during the day, all the light in the world. If it's at nighttime, which a lot of my videos are, I'm not brightening my fucking room while watching a film. So, deal with the comic book filter. Who cares what I look like? It's what I'm talking about, isn't it? But a bit on Tarantino, since I haven't talked about him on the channel yet. I absolutely adore Tarantino. I do have my gripes with him. I mean, and these are pretty common gripes. The guy, for a positive, is such a film lover and a horror film lover, and just like Eli Roth, probably why they became such great friends and stuff. There's a 4-hour video, audio only, of Eli Roth and Tarantino just talking horror films for 4 hours straight. It is absolutely amazing. What a great listen. I'll put a link or at the end of this video or something like that. But a horror geek to the extreme, but his influences are so just worn on his sleeve. Like, you see everything in his films, you see is almost an homage to something else in another film. So, I mean, I get it. He loves film so much. Rob Zombie is the same way. I feel like Rob Zombie is the exact same way. So much of his stuff is homages to old horror films and cult classics and stuff like that. That's how Tarantino is. And it works, though. I mean, he puts his own style on things because he is such a stylish director. And just the stories he writes and the scenes that he makes. And, of course, how can you not talk about the dialogue in a Tarantino film? The dialogue, just the little banter back and forth between characters, that's like with Jules and Vincent when they're talking about the foot massage right before they go in to kill these people. Like, they're just talking about that, and they're talking about Whoppers and a Royale with cheese. Like, just the random little talk between characters makes it feel organic. It makes it feel like these are actually people. Like, as you can see, you've had conversations like this random ass stuff with people. Having said all that, the biggest problem with me with the dialogue in most Tarantino films, pretty much all of them, but like certain parts throughout them, every character sounds like Tarantino. That's the one problem. And you get past it. It's not a huge gripe for me anymore. But as his films were coming out, that was something I've always said and always noticed. Every character seems like Tarantino, like what Quentin would say. The dialogue that he writes, like on a script where it has all the character names, you might as well put Quentin Tarantino for every line of dialogue because it's him. The performances and the actors, actresses, and everything, they bring those lines to life and make it their own. But it all sounds like him. And that's the one negative for me with Tarantino, is just it all sounds like him. That's it. Everything else from now on is masterpiece in this film. Tim Roth, Amanda Plummer, or Plumer, whatever, how you pronounce it. Honey Bunny, and the nicknames for each other. And then there's just all their dialogue between Pumpkin and Honey Bunny. And they're just chilling in this diner, and they start talking wide in the open, like in a diner that has a lot of people in it, talking about why don't they rob diners. Why? Because it's in the middle of broad daylight, and there's people coming in and out. There's employees you got to worry about that can get out, that can get to the cops, that can call someone from the phone in the office. There's so many things that can go wrong. And how much money are you going to get compared to, like, if you're going to go to jail for robbery, might as well go to a bank and rob a bank versus robbing a fucking diner. It's a terrible idea, but it's such a great opening scene. And it took me so many watches of this film to realize the detail that you see Vincent walking to the bathroom in the background when there's a shot of Honey Bunny. Never saw that for a few decent viewings. And I don't know, it's so clever. It's so clever. How, especially when you see this for the first time, and it leads back at the end of the movie and wraps around back to this scene. It's great. Why it's always bothered me with this movie, but the dialogue that she says when they say, let's do it right now, and they go, as every last one of you, it's a totally different line and delivery at the end of the movie when they repeat that scene. It's always bothered me, man. Like, I guess you can look at it as that it's from, like, that's their perspective at the beginning of this movie here, and at the end it's Vincent and Jules, and that's what they remember, and that's what they heard. That's how you could explain it away, I guess. But it's always, every time I hear it at the end, I'm like, yeah, that's not what she said at the beginning. What an amazing script this is. And then we get the Wipeout music at the beginning with the Pulp Fiction logo. Totally iconic. And the suits, too. The suits that Jules and Vincent wear, and the look of them is absolutely iconic in pop culture and in film. Everyone is fantastic. Like I said, John Travolta, Samuel L. Jackson, Bruce Willis, Christopher Walken. Like, I adore Christopher Walken. The whole scene with the watch is such a great scene, man. Uma Thurman is fantastic in this. Rosanna Arquette. I always forget the guy's name who plays the drug dealer, but he kills it too. Like, even Quentin Tarantino. I mean, it's Quentin Tarantino, and this guy just loves dropping N-bombs in all his movies. That whole sequence, I'm positive, I almost guarantee, he wrote all that just so he could drop the N-word as many times as possible. Maybe even just like to get at Sam Jackson and just like to fuck with him. I don't know. But that scene is ridiculous when they're talking about pilots for TV. And Vincent is like, I don't watch TV. And then he explains to him, Jules, what a TV pilot is and stuff. And they're on their way, they're hitmen. And they're on their way to try to find this friggin' briefcase, which that's the whole thing here in this movie. Let's talk the briefcase. What is in it? Some people say money. The way that it shines when Vincent opens it, or is it Jules? When one of them opens it, and there's like a light that emanates from it. Now, in the back of Marsellus's head, his neck, there's like a mark that he has. And I've read theories, I've seen theories talked about that it's Marsellus Wallace's soul that's in the briefcase. Makes sense, but I mean, why is his soul there? There's no supernatural shit in this movie or anything like that. So, like, I don't know. What do you think is in Wallace's case that this whole movie is based around? What's inside it? Let me hear your thoughts.
Is it as bad as eating her pussy out? No. It's the same fucking ballpark.
Whoa. Stop right there. Eating a bitch out and giving a bitch a foot massage ain't eating the same fucking thing.
It's not. It's the same ballpark.
Ain't no fucking ballpark neither. Touching his wife's feet and sticking your tongue in the holiest of holies ain't the same fucking ballpark. It ain't the same league. It ain't even the same fucking sport.
Yes, if you ever given a foot massage, don't be talking to me about foot massages. I got my technique down and everything. Just the fact that they go up to the door after that conversation, then they stop and they go back down the hall to continue the conversation about foot massages. Like I said, they're hitmen trying to go to these people. They probably got to be there and get this case as soon as possible. It's so great. This whole scene is absolutely iconic. The whole scene with them, with Brad and the guy on the couch, and he shoots them. What? Like, they speak English and what? And then the whole Ezekiel 17, Path of the Righteous Man. All of that is just absolute perfection. Everybody knows where this scene is from. This has always annoyed me. Because he says, check out the big name on Brad. He says Brad. His name is Brett. It's always annoyed me. Like, I don't care what anyone says. He says,
check out the big brain on Brad.
All of this by Jackson.
What country you from? What ain't no country I ever heard of? They speak English and what? What? Say what again? Say what again? I dare you. I double dare you, motherfucker. Say what one more goddamn.
Just every single word in his whole monologue here.
Ezekiel 25:17. The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to poison and destroy my brothers. And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee.
Fantastic. Then we have, I love how it's cut into chapters too. We get the next chapter, Vincent Vega and Marsellus Wallace's wife, which is just another fantastic segment here. And let's talk just Tarantino's talent, man, with just picking songs for movies. Like Al Green here, Let's Stay Together, when this segment starts. And every film of his, he just picks the most perfect song choices, and he's phenomenal with that. And I mentioned Rob Zombie earlier, think what you want about him, but he's the same way. He is so great at picking the exact perfect songs for his films too. Very similar to Tarantino. Marsellus talking to Butch. Bruce Willis. And you see the Band-Aid on the back of his neck, which leads through that whole theory I was talking about earlier. That's his soul in the case, which I guess it makes the most sense. I guess that's what it is. But again, let me know what your thoughts are. Ving Rhames destroys this role. Bruce Willis is Bruce Willis, as always. Not a great performance from him. I'll say that. Like, this is not high up on performances from Bruce Willis for me. It's fun. Not this one right here with Vincent and Marsellus' wife, but the whole scene with segment with Butch and the boxing fight and everything. And Fabian, his girlfriend and stuff, that's the low point of the film for me. It's still great, but everything else is much better. But we see Wallace talking to Butch and saying that he has to take he wants him to throw the fight and then he'll make a bunch of money. And then we find out later he don't do that. He kills this guy during his fight. And then I love how we have Jules and Vincent come in the clothes because this is after the whole Marvin incident, which, what a great scene that is with Marvin. I think it's great that Bruce Willis, Butch, and Vincent cross paths just once here at the bar. Don't like each other. They've never seen each other before, I'm guessing, unless he knows him as a fighter. But who knows? But they see the only time in the film that we can assume this is the first time that they meet. And then Vincent ends up getting killed by Butch. Like, I just love all that. Like, this is the first time they meet, don't like each other, and then he gets murdered by this guy randomly, and he would never have seen this coming. And Arquette, the whole thing with her piercings.
5 in each ear, 1 to the nipple of my left breast, 2 in my right nostril, 1 in my left eyebrow, 1 in my belly, 1 in my lip, 1 in my clit, and I wear a stud in my tongue.
It's great. What a crazy bit. Gallagher is the actor's last name, right? Who plays Lance, the drug dealer. I'm pretty sure. But the whole scene when he's selling him heroin and stuff, I mean, this guy's got a lot of heroin. This guy's got a lot of heroin. And, like, pure. Just the whole thing. That's a risky move, man. And role for Travolta to take. Like I said, this, like, revitalized his career. So for his big comeback movie, for him to play a heroin addict, like, and of course, it's very dramatized. It's very stylish. It's not like he's like a worn out looking junkie and stuff like that. But like, definitely a interesting role for him to like take as his comeback. And when Vincent says to Lance, it says the woman, he's like, the one with all the shit in her face, and he says, "That's my wife." They all start laughing of Vincent shooting up. And with the song in the background, Bullwinkle Part 2, I'm pretty sure, because I love this track. What a great scene. Like, what a perfect song. Like I said, like, he just has that talent. Perfect song for this whole scene. And it's shot so well. And Travolta's performance, like, when he's driving and he looks all messed up, man. Like, it's fantastic. When he gets to Mia's house, Wallace's house, and Dusty Springfield's Son of a Preacher Man comes on. Another perfect song. What a beautiful goddamn house, man. And Son of a Preacher Man is still playing, and she's chopping up lines of coke and stuff. Uma Thurman's fantastic. The whole shot facing them in the car with the reflection of Jack Rabbit's in the windshield, and they're talking and stuff, and then she says another iconic line, just don't be a square. But it's not a square, it's a rectangle. I don't know, whatever. The fact when they order their food and she says she wants the $5 shake, and then he starts freaking out, a $5 shake and everything, and the way that they say chocolate or vanilla is Martin and Lewis or Amos and Andy, that's hysterical. Her whole story of her TV pilot, the Fox Force 5, is so fantastic too. And Vincent orders vanilla Coke. I love vanilla Coke. It's my favorite soda. Don't drink soda much, but when I do, vanilla Coke. Such a great shot when she's in the bathroom with all the other women, and you can't see her, and then all of a sudden she just, I said, "God damn!" Love that. what more can you say about the dance scene? Like, absolutely fantastic. The Chuck Berry, they're doing the dance competition. Another just iconic scene. And they're wasted and shit. And Neil Diamond's Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon comes on, which, fantastic. And then she's wearing his coat, and she reaches in and finds the heroin, and she thinks it's cocaine. I mean, if you're a big cokehead, it seems like she is. She can't tell the difference between coke and heroin. I don't know. That seems a little far-fetched. But she just puts out a huge line of heroin and just sniffs it. And then just, it's disturbing, man. Like, when she ODs and, like, the white shit with the blood is coming out of her orifice. Like, it sucks. Then when he comes and he finds her, can you imagine knowing that if this woman dies, you are a dead man? Like, absolutely. And he brings her to Lance's house, and then just this amazing scene here with and I love how they did this, sort of reversed the shot and stuff, had the needle in there and pulled it out and everything, but it looks fantastic. There's so much tension in that scene. You can just cut it with a knife, like, it's just there. Fantastic. And he just crashes the car right into his house. When he gets there with Mia when she's OD'd, and the whole dialogue between Lance, Rosanna Arquette, Vincent, all of that is great here. And then just looking for the medical book, and oh god, this movie's so fantastic. And just, if you're alright, say something, and then Rosanna Arquette, like, that was fucking trippy. She's great in this.
No, man. I ain't you're gonna give it a shot. No, you're gonna give it a shot. I ain't giving it a shot. I never done this before. I ain't never done it before either, all right? I ain't starting now. Look, you brought it here, and that means that you're gonna give it a shot. The day that I bring an OD and bitch to your house, then I give it a shot.
That's absolutely brilliant. When he's explaining it, he's like, you have to bring it down in a jabbing motion. He's like, and he's still stoned. He's whacked out on heroin. He's like, I gotta stab her 3 times. He's like, no, you don't have to fucking stab her 3 times. The comedy is so good in this movie, in all of Tarantino's films. Baby Tomato says, ketchup. It's not that bad of a joke, honestly. It's really not. It's actually kind of cute and clever. So I don't know why she was so embarrassed about it. Then we get the Gold Watch segment with Butch and with Christopher Walken here at the beginning. And like I said, this is the lower point of the film for me. Like, it's still great. It's just, this is where pacing gets a little iffy for me. But the whole intro with Christopher Walken talking about the watch, the whole story is just absolutely hilarious, so well written. This is probably the only thing that doesn't sound like Quentin Tarantino. Like, this is straight Christopher Walken.
Put in a Vietnamese prison camp. He knew that if the gooks ever saw the watch, it'd be confiscated, taken away. The way your dad looked at it, this watch was your birthright. You'd be damned if any slopes gonna put the greasy yellow hands on his boy's birthright, so he hid it. In one place he knew he could hide something, his ass. 5 long years he wore this watch, up his ass.
Best part of the monologue. That is so hysterical. The way he says, I'll be damned. It's so Christopher Walken. So timeline-wise here now, this is assumably the last part of the story. Because Jules says that he's going to retire after the whole incident that we see when we go back to the whole Marvin story and everything with Brett in the apartment and the divine intervention with the bullets. He says he's retiring. When we see Vincent show up here, he's with a different guy. So that's his new partner. So this is at the very end of the story. This segment is the final segment if you're watching this chronologically, right? Really like the homage to like the old school movies, like driving scenes with just the shaky screen in the background when Bruce Willis is in the cab after the fight and then the woman tells him that he killed the guy. I really like that. Like, that's a cool little Hollywood homage from Tarantino for this, and it fits with the film. The whole thing with Fabian, I mean, I feel like she was miscast. I don't care for her character. I mean, there's a famous line of, will you give me oral pleasure, and like all her little banter and stuff, but I don't care for it. This is another thing that brings the segment down for me. But this line from Bruce Willis, when he's saying, did you grab the watch? And she's saying that, you know, she doesn't know and stuff like that, is absolutely hysterical.
It's my father's fucking watch. you have any idea what he had to go through to get me that much? I don't have time to go into it, but he went through a lot. Now, all this other shit you could set on fire, but I specifically reminded you not to forget the fucking what?
The line of, I don't have time to get into it, but he went through a lot, just makes you think of the whole scene prior and the story by Christopher Walken. That's such subtle humor there. I love that. And then he goes and gets the watch from his old apartment. Vincent's there. He's in the bathroom. He doesn't hear Bruce Willis in here. He doesn't hear him in the small-ass apartment. I don't know about that. And then as soon as he opens the door, Vincent, he gets blown away by Bruce Willis. Cool scene, but that's ridiculous. However, I do like how the Pop-Tarts in the toaster pop up right before he shoots him and just like drills him full of holes. That's cool. When he leaves and he gets in the car accident and stuff because he sees Marsellus walking right in front of him, crossing the street. And then just this whole scene, man, with the gimp. Is enough. It's so out there. It's so weird. I don't know what the gimp adds to anything besides just being strange. Unless this is an homage to some weird film, obscure movie or some shit back in the day that Tarantino loves and he's paying homage to it. Besides that, I don't know. But then we get the great line, like, looks like the spider caught itself a couple flies. And do these people do this all the time? Like, do they kidnap their customers? This guy at the store and calls the sheriff or whoever the fuck this guy is and then rape them in the basement with a gimp present? Do they do this all the time? Because if they do, man, they ain't making any money and this business would be just done completely by now. I don't think any of them were going to say that they got good customer service. And they had no idea that Bruce Willis and him were going to walk into their store today. And yet the gimp is in a crate. How long has he been there? Like, it's different if they were expecting someone and they wanted to make a dramatic entrance with the gimp and they take him out of this crate. They had no idea they were coming here. They had no clue this event was happening. And this guy lives in a crate. How uncomfortable he is. He can only crouch down. He can't even lay down in this thing. He doesn't eat. When do they feed him? Does he ever come out? Is he locked in? Like, all of this is so out there. And there's really no point for him either, the gimp, because he just comes out, he looks weird, and then Bruce Willis knocks him out. And that's it. And that's, what a pointless character. And this guy's raping Marsellus Wallace in the ass. And Bruce Willis comes down and I'm pretty sure he thought of this deliberately. Said, like, cause he's about to leave and then he thinks about it. Maybe he does feel guilty, but I think some of this is to get on his good side and have him stop sending people to kill him for winning the fight and screwing Marsellus over. Has to be a little bit deliberate and pre-planned on his part. Like, if I go down and I stop this guy from getting raped and murdered, there's no way he's going to kill me. Like, that's exactly what he's thinking.
Nah, man. I'm pretty fucking far from okay.
That's so great. I'm gonna get medieval on your ass and all of that. And then he leaves. Bruce Willis, he gets the keys, and then he goes and picks up Fabian. Zed's dead, baby. Zed's dead. Next chapter. I love what he says. Like, don't tell anyone about this. He says, this shit is between me, you, and this soon-to-be living the rest of his life in agonizing pain rapist here. We're back to the Marvin situation. We're in Brett's apartment, and the guy's hiding in the bathroom with the big-ass fucking handgun, revolver, whatever he has. He runs out, shoots at them a whole bunch of times, and all the bullets miss. And then Jules gets into all his religious bullshit about that we should be dead and it's divine intervention, and now he starts questioning his life and he wants to retire. Favorite scene in the film right here. And line and everything.
Marvin, what do you make of all this?
Man, I don't even have an opinion.
Well, you gotta have an opinion. I mean, do you think that God came down from heaven and stopped it? Oh, man! Oh, man, I shot Marvin in the face.
Why the fuck you do that?
Well, I didn't mean to do it. It was an accident.
That is so hilarious. The first time I saw this, I was dying, and I still do every time with this. We have the scene with Quentin Tarantino playing, the hell's his name? Joseph or something like that. Jimmy, that's his name. And I'm quoting him once, just everything. And then this is what I know a lot of people don't like about Tarantino. He does this all the time, and this sounds like Tarantino because it's coming from Tarantino. It's written by him, of course. But the whole storage thing, it's so unnecessary. It doesn't have to be here. Like I said, I feel like he just wrote this just so he can use the word over and over again. Like, that's what this scene is for. Wait for the cavalry to come, which would be the wolf coming directly. And he's like, shit, man. You're like, that's all you had to say. Great. And then Harvey Keitel is just phenomenal in this, and his whole role as the wolf is perfect. Cool intro for him too, the wolf. But there's no way this guy made it in the short time it says in California. Like, there's no way. Clean up Marvin's blood and body and put it in the trunk, bring it to Joe's auto yard and stuff, and gets rid of it. That's how easy it is. Get rid of a body. Real simple. Like, I've done it plenty. And then we have the ending, which is right from the beginning of being in the grill in the diner here. And just such a phenomenal ending for this movie. Every line from Jules, every line from Vincent, every line from Tim Roth, Pumpkin, all of that. Everyone does such a phenomenal job here. And Vincent goes to the bathroom, which, again, I love how in the very beginning you see that. And you don't notice it, like, the first time. They start robbing the place, putting their guns in people's faces. You're saying, Mexicans, get out of the kitchen. And then when Pumpkin goes over to Jules, Vincent's in the bathroom, and he's pointing the gun, saying, what's in the case and everything. And then he opens it, and we see the golden shine come out of it again. And even Pumpkin knows what it is. He says, like, is that what I think it is? So, I don't know, man. Again, with the whole theory behind the case.
Tell that bitch to be cool. Say, bitch, be cool. Be cool. Say, bitch, be cool. Tell that fucking bitch to chill. Be cool. Chill that fucking bitch out. Chill.
That's so funny.
It's the one that says bad motherfucker.
And just to show how much of a huge fan I was of this movie since I first saw it, I actually have a bad motherfucker wallet. It's not brown like that. There was a brown option and the black one. I like the black one better. But yeah, I haven't used it in years, but I just dug that out. Then his whole ending monologue here, Samuel L. Jackson, about Ezekiel 17 and then how he used to say that, and I just thought it was a cool thing to say to motherfuckers before pulling the cap in his ass and all of that. Then him just thinking about it and saying, like, you know, maybe I'm the gun is the shepherd and it's the world that's evil and everything, and him saying, I'm trying real hard to be the shepherd, and lets him go. What a fantastic scene. Honestly, I think that monologue might be Samuel L. Jackson's greatest performance. Like, I'd start that argument. I think that's his best performance in a film, and he's been in so much. But God, I love that so much. They get up, they walk out, credits. What a masterpiece. This was so fun to talk some Tarantino, and I'll definitely be doing the rest of his films in the future. I don't want to say in the near future, but whenever it strikes me. So, take care, guys.